The 17th door is one of the biggest haunted house experiences you can get in Southern California. Operating straight out of Fullerton, you can expect an obscene amount of suggestive visuals, physical interaction from live actors, and masochistic acts such as having the oxygen sucked right out of you. On the surface, it looks like just a place for people to get their sick horror desires fulfilled, but it's honestly much more than that. The amount of set design, real-time problem solving, and hard work that goes on behind the scenes to make one of these productions happen is nothing short of astonishing. But why am I talking about this? Well, returning viewers should know that last year around November, I put out an hour-long iceberg video on the most extreme haunted houses from around the world, which by the way you should totally watch after this if you haven't already. Anyways, after I put that video out, it obviously blew up, and a lot of owners and the creators of these haunts and experiences reached out to me through email, either thanking me for doing a good job representing their brand, or in one company's case, the 17th door reached out through email and offered to give me an exclusive look at their new reality show, Spook Show 17. Now don't click off. I know that hearing the words reality show isn't something that you might be interested in, but I promise this isn't an actual reality show. It's labeled as one because it technically is about a literal reality. What? I know that my content is usually on disturbing stuff, but I promise you that it's not a typical reality show. I know hearing that term might dissuade you from watching the show right from the get-go, but while other reality shows rely heavily on manufacturing or creating drama in order to draw viewers in, Spook Show 17 is more than happy to display the raw amount of work that it takes to run a haunt of this size. When I started watching this show, I really didn't know what to expect, and to be fully transparent with you guys before we go into the, review of the episodes that I've watched, I've only seen around 3 episodes of it. This is because that's what the 17th door gave me access to. They gave me access to 3 episodes ad-free. Thank you, by the way. And none of this is sponsored. Like, this isn't a sponsored video or anything. They just reached out and asked me if I wanted to do this, and I did, because I honestly really like what they're going for. And based on what I saw in those 3 episodes, I'm probably going to end up finishing the series after I post this video and probably make another review later on going over the entire series. So what did I watch? Well, I watched episodes 1, 4, and 11. Why specifically those 3? I don't know, ask Wyatt. The series does have an overarching story, which is the 17th door trying to make enough money within 1 month of haunting to make up for their expenses building new rooms. Now, I don't want to simply summarize the show, and I want to just explain why I feel like this show is worth a watch. The very first episode does a fantastic job of laying out what exactly you're to expect from this series. An unfiltered and raw look at the inner workings of a famous haunt such as this. The first 5 minutes of the show is literally the owner of the haunt setting up the cameras that will be used to film the reality show. That is how meta this show gets. And of course, there are moments that I think are played up a little bit just for the camera, but for the most part, like 90% of what I've seen so far, most of it seems like very real stuff that we would deal with if we were working at this place. And the series does a good job of including a lot of great moments and scenes that kind of take you out of the reality show bit. In fact, there's one specific shot that I thought was very funny that I wanted to highlight because it's just something that you wouldn't see from a typical network reality show. There's this random, almost full-minute shot of a worker trying to move this cart of wooden scraps from one side of the room to the other. There's no background music, there's no voiceover, no narration. It's literally just a full-minute clip of you watching this guy attempt to move this cart from one place to another. And the longer the shot goes on, the more that thought comes in your head, and you're just like, please, for the love of God, just move the cart. And then when he finally does move it to the other side after what feels like forever, he runs straight into this wall. Now, this seems on the surface to be just a silly comical relief moment in the show, but it really drives the point home for the series. It's an unfiltered look at this haunt experience. Even something as small as just moving a cart full of crap from one side of the room to the other takes what feels like forever. The reason I even like this moment, and the reason I wanted to highlight it, is because I feel like it's one of those things you just wouldn't think about. There's also another moment that you wouldn't really think about when going to these haunts where They basically clean out an entire room that's full of just very smelly and what appears to be dried up vomit on the ground. And stuff like this you just don't think about. When you go to these haunts and you do these experiences, you don't really think about all the work and all the labor that has to go in order to get all of this stuff done and get rooms cleared out and make way for new experiences. We just kind of go pay money and experience the thing without thinking about how it was made. You know, the reason that the 17th door was even created in the first place, as highlighted in the first episode, was to pave way for more creative and more unique haunts. When you go to a more mainstream haunted house, like Not Scary Farm or Halloween Horror Nights, a lot of the thrill and excitement is lost after your first few mazes because you end up getting scrammed and squished between way too many people. You see the jump scares happen before you even get to them, and you're given the opportunity to anticipate the jump scare, which takes away the whole point of the experience. While in complete contrast, the 17th door has 17 individual rooms running on a 90-second timer, and each group in all of these rooms gets their own individual unique experience, being able to immerse themselves in the live theater and big storyline that strings all of the rooms together. Very unlike a lot of other haunts. And with haunts like this, a lot of work has to go on behind the scenes to make sure things goes right. And that's exactly what Spook Show 17 sets out to do. It wants to expose and explain why stuff like this should be taken as extraordinary, because it is. And on top of that, every single room is nothing short of iconic, with breathtaking visual effects, design, and storytelling. What really blew my mind was this scene right here, where the mastermind behind all the rooms and the creator of the 17th door, Robbie, explains the intricacy of the layout of the entire building. For example, having this room contain a bunch of jump scares and high energy moments to set up for a later room, where you have a long, drowned out hallway that utilizes the imagination and anticipation to create fear in the guests. Basically, you go into this first room and you get scared a lot, so you kind of sets in your head, oh, this is going to be a very hands-on experience with tons of shit coming out left and right. And then you have a very long and dark hallway, and as you're making your way towards the end, you're kind of like expecting stuff to come out from left and right, and when nothing does, it creates a false sense of security, and then at the end there's a huge big scare. Passion and design like this is something that you don't see a lot of, at least in haunted houses. And the kicker here is this line where the owner explains that they build these amazing iconic rooms that people will talk about and remember for ages. And just to keep things fresh and new, within 2 years or less, the same iconic thriller room that you love will be removed for something better. This idea of always improving and innovating their haunt is the reason why experiences like the 17th door will stay at the top, while others will slowly decline within due time. All of that just from watching the very first episode. You can really tell how much passion everyone involved has, and that kind of genuineness really shines through in this series, at least from what I've seen. The next episode I watched highlights the actors, the auditions, and the amount of creative freedom that employees are given at the 17th door. From one employee using his extensive knowledge of a certain woodworking product to design a creepy rundown bathroom, to the actors that work for them, given the ability to show off what makes them a great asset to the 17th door. One theme that I thoroughly enjoyed throughout this episode was the running thought that experiences like this allow normal people like you and I to just let loose. Some people enjoy going to clubs or bar hopping, while others want to be thrown in immersive experiences, get electrically shocked, jump scares, or even be the one doing the jump scares. The main takeaway is that both parties, the actors doing the scaring and the people choosing to enter such an experience, have the same ideal in mind. They just want to let loose for a night and leave all their problems elsewhere. And that's what the 17th door truly delivers in this aspect. This episode really shows a behind the scenes look, and not just how the actors are chosen, but also how diverse the different walks of life that all of these actors and people come from. Even going as far as having confessionals for each actor that's brought in, which actually brings us to yet another moment that takes us out of the reality show aspect.
At that point, if we think they're exploitable for the reality show, we send them to Char's daughter.
If we think they are exploitable, you just couldn't catch any other reality show dropping stuff like that. But this show really does set itself apart in this aspect. It really does try to drive the point home that this isn't your typical reality show. Even the end of the episode reflects the realistic side of things. Robbie tasks his creative lead with building their newest feature character, the Vixie Tech Guard, and shows them tons of pictures to draw inspiration from. And when Robbie sees this new creation unveiled for the first time, he's noticeably unimpressed. Mostly because it's nothing like the pictures he presented, but instead of blindly getting upset, we are shown him experiencing the difficulty of letting employees have creative freedom when running a business. Of course, Robbie wants to get upset, but at what point does creative freedom become more important than having a thriving business that won't fail? Stuff like this is why Spook Show 17 is unlike a lot of other reality shows out there. It highlights very real issues that employers and employees might struggle with, and stuff that you might even struggle with at your job. The last episode goes over guest experience and, most importantly, the waiver. Waivers are nothing new, but this episode highlights how crazy it is that people will often just gloss over super important details just because they can't be bothered to actually read an entire list of terms and conditions. And like before, Spook Show 17 is super meta about it, exploring the exact meaning behind some of those terms and conditions.
This waiver is legit, long, and very one-sided in our favor. Like this section, I'm pretty sure means that even if we suck and are at fault for something, you still can't sue us.
There's also a huge emphasis on real-time problems that will actually occur during these types of experiences. For example, one of the big issues in this episode is the fact that this room called the Circle Shock room isn't working properly. And during one of their biggest haunt days, the room actually doesn't work at all. You're supposed to be able to choose and pick who you want to shock in the room, and it ends up shocking people that didn't get chosen, or people that use the safe word are getting shocked. A bunch of problems like that are happening, causing the owner to have to go in and in real time fix the machine while people are actively experiencing the haunt, showcasing the actual trial and error while implementing new technology like this. There's even a part where the spinning room causes a woman to fall and bust her head open. These real life situations are shown left and right throughout the entirety of the show, and if you love this behind the scenes look and understanding how things work and hate all of the fabrication with network television, then I highly suggest watching Spook Show 17. Full transparency, again, I am not being sponsored by this company to make this video. I just really enjoyed the show and also just love talking about haunts in general. If you're thinking of watching the show, you can do so for free on the Roku channel. Albeit you will have to sit through a lot of ads, but the entirety of the show is there to watch. You can also obviously purchase it on Prime or YouTube, but I feel like it's a little too expensive. It's about like $2 an episode. Once I am done watching the show myself, I will make a follow-up video after this. I really just wanted to get a video out on some type of Halloween type experience, and this just happened to fall into my lap. Once I am done watching the entire series myself, because as I've said multiple times throughout this video, I only watched about 3 episodes because I was given those ad-free. Whenever I'm done watching the entirety of the show, probably in around a week, I will make a follow-up video going over my final thoughts of the entire series. As of right now, I'm going to get back to watching the entire thing and seeing how it stacks up to the free episodes that I was given to watch. Huge thanks to Wyatt and the team at the 17th Door for letting me get an ad-free and early look at Spook Show 17. They actually gave me free access a week before it even came out. So huge thanks to you guys. And with all of that said, I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.